Oh. I've never had a video almost make me vomit. Generic intro into that goes. We're here back with another kill count. Today we're doing Black Christmas and Black Christmas, the 2006 remake. I have never heard of these movies, didn't know they existed. I don't know if this is going to be another one of those Thanksgiving Jack Frost 2 kind of scenarios where it's like a really cheaply done movie, or maybe it's a cult classic. Well, those are also cult classics. Maybe it's a well done cult classic. That's a little bit of a difference. You can check out my reaction to Jack Frost and Jack Frost 2. I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description. Also, to place my channel with all my other kill counts going across chronological order. I've been reading your comments on that one. Apparently Jack Frost was an actual person way back in the day, but then I guess next week's going to be Krampus. I don't know anything about Krampus. I don't know anything about Black Christmas. I mean, 2006, I was 9 years old at the time, so I don't know. New Year's Evil, I haven't even heard of most of these. Some of them are before I was born, like Black Christmas one. Krampus came out in 2015 though. I graduated high school that year, so I'm not really sure. I do read all your comments, leave them down below. I hope you have a wonderful day, and hopefully I can make it just tiny little bit better. And shout out to the patrons, because they get all the videos there early, allow me to make all these videos, and I'm having to record videos ahead of time because I'm very busy these past couple weeks. So thank you so much to all the people that leave comments and watch these videos, and I really hope that really hope that you enjoy them, because that's why I make them. But let's go ahead and jump into a Black Christmas 1974. Alright. Well, didn't have a not suitable for all audiences warning on this one. Hi, James.
Tally up the victims.
Actually saw it was Reddit. It was Reddit or Twitter post
Black Christmas,
where it was him and his wife
released in
at a
1974,
convention.
often credited as the first modern slasher film ever made. We're talking 4 years prior to Halloween, people. Black Christmas is a pretty basic horror story with a cast of characters getting picked off one by an unknown murderer. Even more stereotypical, they're all sorority sisters. So you're forgiven if your first impression is that this movie will be cheesy or cheap. But director Bob Clark didn't want cheesy or cheap, so he pushed for his collegiate characters to be realistic and intelligent, and deal with some real shit, like accidental pregnancies. He also shot it real well and included a lot of humor in the film. Between his direction and the very talented cast, this ends up being just a really well-made movie, y'all. And it's also got a pretty decent kill count, so let's travel back 43 years and count them up.
43 years, and this video is old.
The movie begins with a sorority house.
Almost 50 years
Castle-like
old. Actually, it turns 50 this year.
Location for this kind of film. There's someone first-person stalking around outside, and I don't think it'll be a surprise for you to find out that it's the killer. Meaning right off the bat,
really? It's not a fake out?
Borrow 4 years later. Before you know it, this dude is climbing in your window, snatching your presents up, but he doesn't stay up in the attic for long. Instead, popping on down to the second floor so he can start exploring this house and its inhabitants. Downstairs are the girls of Pi Kappa Sig, doing some Yuletide boozing, some more than
sorority,
others.
of course.
You, Barb.
No, I've had a couple.
She's played by future Lois Lane, Margot Kidder, and she's got some mommy issues going on, so she ends up making holiday skiing plans with her sorority sisters, Jess and Phil. Jess is played by Olivia Hussey, who 26 years later would get yelled at by a clown at a gas station.
Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you want it? Don't you want it?
Phil is played by Andrea Martin, just a couple of years before she joined the original cast of SCTV, which was kind of like Canada's SNL. When the phone rings, Jess answers it and is all like, "Hey, you guys!" Because the dude on the other end is someone familiar to them known as the Moaner. Yeah, and it gets a lot more.
They just call and do that?
Most of the girls are horrified, but Barb grabs the phone and tells the guy off.
You fucking creep!
Still, he kind of wins this shit-slinging contest with a very serious threat.
I'm going to kill you.
The call upsets another sister, Claire, so much that she leaves to go upstairs to pack. The packing starts off well enough.
To pack?
So she finds the house's cute kitty cat Claude in her room.
I miss my
cat.
cat.
As she's packing away her entire closet at once, she fails to notice there's someone hanging out back there. Eventually, she does hear something coming from that direction, and after she gets dangerously close, the killer jumps out and starts strangling her with a plastic sheet. He finishes the job off screen and winds up taking her body back to the attic, where he sets it in a rocking chair by the attic window. What are you doing with that, dude? You're gonna scare Santa away.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Wait, Santa doesn't go through the attic, goes through the chimney.
Arrived in the form of house mother Mrs. Mack, a delightfully foul-mouthed alcoholic played by Marion Waldman. If anyone can drink Barb under the table, it's Mac Mommy, hiding her backup supplies in book cutouts and even in the toilet tank. Goddamn, lady, just stick it in your purse. You are 21, right? Her lifestyle is getting judged hard by Claire's dad, who comes to the house after Claire fails to meet up with him at the train station. He's real upset with the way this place is being run. What with the vulgar posters, the encouragement of childhood onset alcoholism, and Mrs. Mack's potty mouth as she calls for the cab.
God damn it, Claude, you little prick!
Hi.
She don't give a fuck about
Yeah, no.
attacks her own damn woman. Jess takes the afternoon to meet with her wannabe piano prodigy boyfriend Peter, played by Keir DeLay, aka Dave Bowman from 2001: A Space Odyssey. She tells him that she's accidentally pregnant, but that she doesn't want to keep it. Peter gets pissed because I guess he wants to have and raise a little piano progeny. As she leaves, he begs her to meet with him later to talk about it more, and she reluctantly agrees after some pressuring. Later that night, Jess gets another phone call from the moaner, and I've just got to say, these calls are effectively creepy.
Wait.
Billy, I'm sorry.
I'm guessing they're just like the other girl left.
And between the moaner's phone calls and Claire being MIA, there's more than
enough
reason
okay,
for
so she's
Barb,
MIA.
Phil,
Nobody
and
checked
Claire's dad to
the
go
attic.
to the
I
police.
guess
Too bad when they go there, they get stuck with dim-witted and short-fused Sergeant Nash. He's a real useless SOB to them, but Barb manages to get her digs in with a prank when she gives them the number of the sorority house.
Fellatio 20880. Fellatio. It's a new exchange. FE.
Jess finds Chris, Claire's boyfriend, at a hockey rink because hell yeah, Canada. When she tells him Claire's missing, and that the police ain't doing jack shit, he storms into the station and chews out Nash for being useless, all with a wonderful Canadian accent.
You're a friend of Claire.
Does he apologize?
Yeah, I've been taking her out.
He's got some kind of rapport with the police force, apparently, so he's able to get some more help from Lieutenant Kenneth Fuller, played by John Saxon.
Tell him to let it
marinate. Lieutenant as Nancy's dad in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Dude's a good lieutenant, what can I say? Also, hey, this movie jumps around a lot, and I didn't know how to seamlessly work this into my script, so let me just point out that at some point, Mrs. Mack struggles to open the sorority house door and needs some help with it.
You know, we gotta get Mr. Reynolds to fix this door.
Yeah, the scene is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's good information to have for later, so there you go. Don't say I never prepared you for nothing. Peter has some kind of important piano performance that day, and he plays his dissonant classical piece like he's a goddamn rock star. I guess the performance was a little too Keith Emerson for the judges, since next time we see him, Peter's smashing his piano with a microphone stand. You're supposed to do that at the end of your performance, Peter, not hours later.
Pianos are not
the
cheap.
Audience has gone home. Lieutenant Fuller leads a big search party that night for both Claire and the daughter of this woman, Mrs. Quaife, Janice, who's also missing. While the sorority sisters are helping with that, the piano man slinks down against a tree, and he's not in the mood for a melody. He's waiting for Jess to get home so he can talk to her more about the schmishmortion situation. Inside the house, Mrs. Mack is getting ready to leave for the holidays. And when Mac be packing, she be drink attacking, because you know she can't go an hour without reboozing. Before she leaves, though, she hears Claude meowing up a storm, as Kitty's fucking around with Claire's corpse. Mac climbs the ladder to go get the cat out of the attic, but her dress gets caught, leaving her a stationary target for the killer when he pulls back a hook on her rope aimed right at her head. He lets her discover Claire's body by the window, and then,
dude, that's evil.
Flies into her face, hooking her head and pulling her up into the attic, where she screams until he ultimately finishes the job, killing her just off screen. You'd think the killer wouldn't be bothered by her short interruption, but you'd be wrong.
Bro has an issue.
Chill. Back at the search party, a girl starts screaming, so everyone else
is unwell.
Going on.
Also, the
mustaches. Like they found
mustaches.
Janice Quaife in a not-so-lively state. She'll go on the kill count, but because it's a totally off-screen kill and body, don't worry, I won't waste the dull machete.
It's bad.
Back at the sorority house, Jess gets another obscene phone
now
call.
there's rules for that.
And the camera goes all in to capture Olivia Hussey's terrified face. We see more scared Jess face when Peter surprises her coming down the stairs.
Is it him?
That she skipped out on their meeting.
I'm guessing he's supposed to be the...
So selfish. When she calls the police to complain about the nasty phone
a potential
Nash
guy.
It off. But Claire's dad overhears and brings the complaint.
It's obviously him.
Who reprimands Nash for being a doofus. When Fuller goes to call the sorority house, we get the payoff to Barb's prank from
Who watches that?
It's a new exchange. F.E. Felicia. One of the girls that was in this afternoon gave it to me. She gave it to you? Yeah.
It's a fun scene, and this dude in the background laughing like he's tripping out on shrooms just makes the whole thing even better.
I know. Something dirty, ain't it?
Yep.
It is. Peter tells Jess that he's quitting the conservatory and that they're gonna get married, but Jess is still hanging 10 on that second wave feminism and says he's got a lot of nerve, mister.
You can't ask me to drop everything I've been working for and give up all my ambitions because your plans have changed.
When she refuses to change her mind about the abortion she's planning on getting, he first resorts to name-calling.
You selfish bitch. You're talking about killing our baby as though you were having a wart removed.
And then straight up threatens her.
You're gonna be very sorry.
He leaves her in a very forte huff, because he is not feeling all right.
Dude,
Lieutenant Fuller,
he's not the killer.
There's
no way he's the killer. Unless maybe this is like the first one,
Graham are there to install a tab on the phone. While Graham Cracker gets to work on his nerd shit, Fuller inspects the house and builds a friendly rapport with Jess and Phil. Graham's rigged it so when the phone at the house rings, they'll also get a ring at the station. But as anyone who's ever watched a cop movie knows, you gotta keep the bastard on the line long enough for the coppers to get a trace. For added reassurance,
but it's gonna be
Fuller
in the
shows
house.
the girls out the window that they've got another cop outside in a car overlooking watching the house. Hope that dude is able to see Peter as he's creeping around a tree and staring at the house some more in his turtle.
It's not him. It's not him. There's no way it's him.
To go up to bed, so Jess waits up for the next phone call all by her lonesome. She leaves her post when she hears Barb having a panic attack upstairs, which Barb blames on a nightmare she had of a stranger in her room. But don't be fooled by
it wasn't a nightmare.
That house ain't on Elm Street, and that wasn't a nightmare. Dude was really there just a minute ago, and now he's so brazen he's just watching these girls from the hallway outside the room. Damn, dog, learn to stealth. Jess leaves Barb to her wine-soaked sleep and opens the front door to a group of caroling kids on the sorority stoop singing at her face. While she's mesmerized by the dulcet falsettos of these prepubescent vocalists, the killer heads back into Barb's room.
Oh no.
Hey, this is me, Billy.
He grabs a glass unicorn and raises it high above his head in the film's most iconic shot. Right when Barb awakens, he brings it down on her with several lethal stabs.
It's not.
The murder is intercut with the children's choir.
It kind of looks like
All Ye Faithful, lending the whole thing a very artsy feel as Barb's hand crashes against the other glass figurines by her bed in slow motion.
Which would make a ton of noise.
A very memorable moment in this movie. Jess gets yet another creepy call at the house and is disgusted when the caller quotes parts of her conversation with Peter to her.
Just like having a wart removed.
At the station, Fuller and his phone tappers are trying to do some vintage NSA shit, but the caller hangs up before they can successfully trace the line.
And they knew that.
Jess and Fuller are both starting to harbor suspicions that the caller is Peter. Suspicions
it's
that
not
get even
him.
worse when
There's
Jess
no
gets
way
a call
it's
that
him.
he is actually
It's too
Peter.
obvious.
During the call, he's very emotional and is crying about their fight earlier, but he too hangs up before they're able to trace a line. Damn, Jess, you gotta be a more engaging conversationalist. After Jess and Phil get spooked by a couple of dudes who are part of the search party, they realize that none of the doors or windows in the house are locked, so they set out to update their house with that crucial security patch. But when Phil goes to check in on Barb,
who knocks on the front door with a shotgun?
Behind her, and Phil gets killed off screen. Gotta say though, I am a fan of Barb's little booze bottle wreath she's got going on. That's a real total sorority move. Jess gets one final phone call from the killer, who goes on and on with a stark crazy monologue. At least this performance is long enough for Graham to get a trace on the call.
It's gonna be the house.
Station and tells Nash that the calls are coming from the address of the sorority house. Nash relays that info to Fuller.
For Christ's sakes, Nash, you got it wrong. That's where the calls are going into.
That's where they're coming from, too, sir.
When Fuller tries to radio his officer outside, Jennings, he gets no response. And because Jennings has had his throat slit in, like, not the best.
He was by himself.
But you know what? It's 1974. I'm not going to rag on it.
That's fair, yeah.
Nash, following Fuller's orders, calls the house and tells Jess to get the hell out of there. But when she mentions going to get Phil and Barb from their rooms, he tells her why exactly she needs to just GTFO.
The caller is in the house. The calls are coming.
And the caller's probably listening
now, this isn't where that infamous line originates from. It's actually a common trope in an old urban legend, and you could argue it first appears in film in When a Stranger Calls. But it's still a memorable moment here in this movie. Jess screams for her sisters, and when she gets no response, decides to risk it by arming herself with the fire poker and ascending the stairs on her own. When she kicks down Barb's door, we see the bodies of Barb and Phil all bloodied up and on display. Then Jess looks up to see the killer's eye peeking out from behind a door crack.
It's me, Billy.
She slams the door against him and runs away, but the front door doesn't open for her because it's jammed. See? Told you that random scene would come up later. The killer starts coming down the stairs, so Jess takes shelter behind the basement door and locks it. The killer bangs against it for a while before leaving it alone, and as Jess looks around the basement cautiously, she sees a silhouette in front of the basement window.
That's just
unsettling.
unsettling.
That it's Peter calling her name and asking if she's alright, which is innocuous enough, but damn does he look creepy in the shot. It doesn't help with Jess at ease when he busts out the window and climbs inside. Jess is all freaked out.
Wait, how would he know? How would he know that it's that extreme that he needs to break the window?
At the house and bust down the door to the basement, they come across Jess cradling Peter's dead body. Thinking Peter was in fact the killer, Jess managed to beat him to death with the fire poker, delivering herself to safety, at least so she thinks. The cops put Jess to bed as Lieutenant Fuller says over and over how he just knew that Peter was the killer the entire time. He's not. Reporters, and after Claire's dad falls into shock, Chris and another cop lift him up to take him to the hospital, leaving Jess alone and asleep in her room. Little does anyone know that there's still some quiet singing coming from up in the attic.
It's me, Billy.
Yep, Billy the real killer is still hanging out.
Who is it though? Is the character we actually know is just a random dude?
Claire. The camera dollies out with Claire's body barely visible by the flickering candlelight in the attic window. And then the phone starts to ring. The end. At least the end of this movie. You could argue it was the beginning of the slasher genre, which is pretty cool.
So why did they make a sequel?
Did the genre start off with?
Not that many.
Let's find out and get to the number.
Not a ton.
Oh, 1 second.
Don't pick that up.
Hello?
Not a pop socket.
No, this is James. There's no Billy here. No, it's James. No, it's all right, man. You just got the wrong number.
Yeah.
It happens to everyone, all right?
Yeah.
All right, have a good one. Nice guy.
Is it? Is it, James? Is it?
7 people died in
not a ton.
Christmas, which I believe is around the average amount.
But one of the first times we actually had more women than men.
The first 5 were women, and only the last.
Is that the first for a kill count so far?
Movie since Scream 4 with more female than male victims. At a runtime of 98 minutes, that comes out to a kill on average every 14 minutes flat. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Barb. I mean, it's impossible not to. The whole scene is the stuff of horror history.
So who's the actual killer doing?
And the slow motion glass breaking, very artistic and well done. Dull machete for lamest kill will be Phil. That door closes real slowly behind her, which is lame, and the body reveal
I didn't see her even like look behind the door. Bro likes to hide behind doors.
Black Christmas was released in 1974 and directed by Bob Clark, whose other films include both A Christmas Story and Porky's.
Never seen Christmas Story. I didn't know about it until 2 years ago.
2006 remake, which is what we'll be looking at next week. But until then,
we're in this video because there's a lot of kill counts.
Hey y'all, thanks a lot for watching my kill count for Black Christmas. I want to thank some of my patrons like Seth Halpin, who saved Mystery, and Carl Goran Gustafsson. I hope you guys.
That's a name I would struggle that one.
Season. This time of year really makes me reflective, and I've just got to thank you guys for watching my stuff. Couple more kill counts this year.
James makes fantastic stuff.
Schedule, baby. Got a lot of great stuff coming up. Don't worry, January is gonna be packed.
Okay. And now we have the 2006 remake. I was 9 years old.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite
black shirts in the video.
I'm James Agent East, and today we're
notice I don't wear black shirts in videos.
Remake of Black Christmas.
The cameras don't like it.
As Black Xmas to show how X-core it is. The remake follows loosely the
You'll see a lot of
original, but adds a ton of backstory to Billy the Killer. Flashbacks take up a good chunk of runtime and change Billy from a completely random killer to the stuff of local legend. I'll admit that the first time I watched this movie, I kind of liked it because of how batshit insane it gets. But the more I watch it, the more off-putting it is to me. It's full of cheap references to the original, needlessly
it's a remake
without nearly as much thought or care,
unicorn.
and the characters are all shallow and match the whole movie's tone of being nasty and mean. But hey, at least nasty and mean in this case also includes some crazy freaking gore, man. If you're into it, get ready, but for everyone else, be forewarned. This movie's got some of the nastiest shit I've ever talked about on the kill count, and it's not only the gore I'm talking about. You ready?
Oh god,
all right, let's
this
get to the
is... Ooh, this might be rough.
The movie begins at the sorority house of Delta Alpha Kappa. That's not fun to say. People be doing the Christmas thing, like Claire, who's writing a letter to her sister with her writing partner, Cabernet. She doesn't see blonde ring girl hanging out under her bed, and it's too late by the time she notices her calligraphy pen missing. She gets a bag over her head, and after a short struggle with the killer, a follow-up pen to the dome gets her first kill, a mere 2 minutes in. Title card. At an institute for the criminally insane, a children's ward Santa gets lost and winds up in a wing with residents that are more naughty and less nice. Like Billy Lenz, who the Santa recognizes by name. Billy's apparently a famous boy, because Santa Man seems to know
is he supposed to be the piano?
Mom kept him locked in the basement his whole life.
The attic.
Well, almost everything. Later on, the security guard gets a note from Billy and goes inside his room to check on it. They probably shouldn't have let Billy decorate his room like a Krampus-themed haunted house, but they did. So as the guard checks on
why did they let him do that?
Billy's able to come up behind him and stick a candy cane in his neck. Billy leaves the security guard shaking from his wound, but I'll put him on the list. Despite there being a decent chance he'd get appropriate medical care in time. Let's jump back to that though. That would have been tough. Go through the meat that'll soon be dead. First up is Kelly, played by Katie Cassidy of every DC show ever. She's telling her boyfriend Kyle that she's got to spend the holiday night with her sorority sisters instead of him after she leaves the car.
Is that a thing in sororities?
And it's from Megan, another sorority sister. Doesn't look like she's just calling to wish him a Merry Christmas. Downstairs, the rest of the girls are hanging out. They're all pretty stereotypical mean girls, so you'll probably recognize like the entire cast. Ms. Mack is the only main character who's back, and she's played by Andrea Mitchell, who was Phil in the original. Kelly goes upstairs to rally more girls for present opening.
I'm not going to recognize any of these people.
Lauren, played by Scream Queen Crystal Lowe, who's the closest thing to a Barb we get in this movie. They're not so successful recruiting Megan, the chick who was all pissed off on the phone with Kyle. She's a bit too preoccupied for presents, dealing with some footage of her and Lauren's boyfriend having sex. And by dealing with, I mean just kind of watching, because she sits there and does that for a while. What's up, girl? Checking your form on the replay or something? She pauses it when she hears a noise above her ceiling and follows it into the hallway and to the attic door. By the way, who decorates the inside of the house with blinking Christmas lights? Trying to give yourself a headache? Megan goes into the attic and finds Claire's body sitting in its favorite window chair. But before she even realizes
window
that's
chair,
of
course,
in the
killer
stabs her
which is very similar to what's her face.
This movie. The killer pins her to the floor and seriously, look away if you're squeamish. Freaking digs into her eye sockets and yanks those babies out.
What is this obsession with eyes?
And if eye stuff bothers you, you might want to skip this video. This movie's full of it. Meanwhile, basement grade Santa has finished up his rounds and is now looking to get his candy cane wet with this nurse. But before he can try out that new joke he's been workshopping, where he calls himself Old Saint Dick, Billy appears behind him and we hear a big thwack blood splatter all over the floor. Billy later dons the Santa suit in a possible reference to Billy Chapman and dumps the Santa dude's body into the dumpster. At Delta Alpha Kappa, Ms. Mack is trying to get the girls invested in the house tradition where they leave a gift for Billy under the tree. But Heather, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, isn't comfortable getting a gift for a serial killer. Melissa, played by Michelle Trachtenberg, drinks wine and tries to be pedantic.
Serial killers murder repeatedly for sexual thrill.
No.
What?
That's not what a serial killer is.
No.
Dana, the other girl there, played by
why you need to say that?
deliver very drawn-out jokes.
I'd like to bury the hatchet with my sister.
Wait for it.
What?
Wait for it.
Right in her head.
Good job there. Expert comedic timing. To get everyone in the proper mood for the house's weird serial killer traditions, Ms. Mack kicks off a flashback to tell the story of Billy Lenz, who grew up at the house their sorority now calls home. Billy was born in 1970 with jaundice, which in this world apparently leaves you looking like a Sin City monster. His dad, Frank, doesn't seem
it's
too
not
bothered
quite
by it,
that
Mama
extreme.
Constance just loathes the hell out of both Billy and Frank for whatever reason. 5 years later, in 1975, Billy gets a gift from Santa, but while he's unwrapping his new telescope, we hear his parents arguing and another man, Constance's lover, show up and start a fight. Billy peeks under a wall to witness the end of that little dust-up, his dad on the ground bleeding. They bang his head, and as Billy watches, beat Frank a ton of times with a hammer, murdering him right in front of his son's eyes. The partners in crime later hide Frank's body in the crawl space under the porch, because
what does Billy do?
Obsessed with those in-between places. And after Constance sees Billy peeping in on them, they kind of chase him into the attic, which is all right by Constance.
Oh, they're going crazy.
And flashback. In the present, Kelly gets a phone call and puts it on speakerphone for the rest of the girls to hear. It's not nearly as deranged or creepy as the calls from the first one.
What have you done? What have you done?
And in this remake, the ladies are unfamiliar with their personal crank anchor, but it still upsets Heather enough to want to call the police. Reasonable enough, but for some reason, Lauren mocks her for the idea, so Heather storms off to go pack for home. She's cut off at the stairs by Eve, who we're, now meeting, I guess?
Why
She's
is she
supposed
not
to be
invited?
Some super weird character, but she just gives Heather a gift, the glass unicorn from the first one, reference, and wishes everybody a Merry Christmas.
And everybody's like, everybody's just like Leonardo DiCaprio, like,
what? Set in 1982 this time.
Bro, what?
Getting her
Stop.
rocks off at the top of the stairs. Well,
Stop
almost
this.
anyway. Her lover falls asleep on the job, and when she hears noises from the attic, we get something nobody wants to see. Constance goes into the attic and steps in front of her 12-year-old son, and then this is super fucked up in like so many ways, but at least it's not being played for laughs, I guess. Still, it gets even more crazy when it cuts to 9 months later and Billy has a new sister daughter. Constance names her Agnes and tells the ceiling that she don't need her.
I'm just doing this so I can.
My family now.
We cut from Agnes in the past back to Eve in the present, which I guess is supposed to make you think they're one and the same. But spoiler, they're not. The phone rings again, and it's another
that's good.
quote-unquote
I need to write that down so I
just
can
has
like
a regular sounding dude repeating dialogue. The girl
not
said it.
have that in the video.
The caller ID said it was from Megan's cell, so Katie braves the green and red blinking torture hallway to check on Megan, and when she gets there, though,
kinda
Kyle
crazy.
pops out. That's really fucking suspicious, dude. Turns out he had climbed into Megan's window to try to get rid of that doggy-style video on her computer. He gives some bullshit excuse about wanting to see Kelly, blah, 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 whatever, man. Let's just get to the next flashback, which Kyle tells the sorority girls since he's a townie who grew up under the legend of Lenz. It's 1991, which means Billy can legally drink now, but instead, his idea of a good time is spying on happier families with his new telescope. Downstairs,
He still has a telescope.
Agnes is opening presents, but Constance unwisely leaves the room to go light a cig on the stove. And we see
Oh,
that
do
Billy
people
is
do
actually in
that?
the living room pulling a Sean Spicer. The kitchen phone
what?
rings, and when Constance answers it, Billy's on the other end using her own words against her. Sure enough, Agnes is missing from the living room. Here's some shit that don't make sense. Constance and her man toy pop up into the attic to yell at Billy, but nobody's there. And instead, Billy and Agnes are back by the tree again. A lot of spatial logic in this movie doesn't really hold up to scrutiny. Billy beats Agnes with a bag over her head, and then, ready for super gross times again, eats her freaking eyeball. Billy's dad runs over to him only to get stabbed through the head with an ornament. His eye comes out the back, even though there's no way it would have made it through the skull intact.
And
like
that way,
This film's got a motif, and damn if they don't hit on it every 5 minutes. Billy then turns to his mommy dearest, strangling her with the lights and dragging her into the kitchen, where he grabs a rolling pin and beats her to death. And he just wails on her for like a really long time, man. This movie loves overindulging.
This is not the mommy
and to go
issues
way over the top, he grabs a
that you
cookie
see.
cutter and starts carving out pieces of her skin. God damn! He takes after NBC's Hannibal and actually cooks the flesh too. So later, when the cops show up, they find him at the kitchen table, eating his mother's flesh cookies with some milk. Ugh. Billy was institutionalized, and Agnes, missing her eye, was sent to an orphanage. Nobody has
Oh my God!
Kyle finishes his story, and the girls get distracted.
I've never had a video almost make me vomit. Oh my good lord! I know it's a movie, but
come to the house after not hearing from Claire all night. The other sisters and Ms. Mack are skeptical of Lee's sudden appearance, but she's able to convince them she's a true sister by knowing about the Billy gift tradition. She does note an apparent change, however.
Oh, this is new. It's not for Billy, it's for Alpha Kappa from Billy.
They open the present, and it's a telescope box with a baby doll inside. The doll is missing its eyes because, do you get it yet? Eyes! Then Lauren projectile vomits, so the girls
that
take
was
her
what I
upstairs
was
so she can
almost
just get it all
doing.
out, sweetie. It's okay. You'll feel better tomorrow. When the power goes out and finally ends the blinking light torture hallway, Megan's laptop switches to battery power, and so Kelly winds up seeing Kyle's star turn on the screen. She gets real pissed at him, even though he claims it was before they were together and that he's not the one who put it online. Their boring, totally irrelevant relevant argument becomes public when it spills out into the hallway, and the other girls unite in kicking Kyle to the curb. Mel starts a shower so Lauren can wash the puke and regret off herself, and as she undresses, she uncovers an unlikely peephole under the floor. Look at the weird way this eye is edited into that shot. And what kind of angle would you even have from that hole? You'd just be looking at ceiling. Oh, no, you'd have a perfect Porky-style angle on this bathing beauty? Okay, whatever. Mel finishes up her mom-like treatment.
Why he chose it. How do you even get there? What floor? What level is it on? Is he in the floorboards?
Fuse box underneath the house. But when she checks out the crawl space under the porch, her face gets grabbed and she's pulled inside. She has a short grapple with the killer that ends when they grab a gardening tool that they use to stab Dana in the shoulder.
You keep gardening tools in your crawl space?
It's a little bit confusing since they're both wearing the same outfit. But you know what? Now we don't have to worry about that because Dana's dead. Yay! The killer calls from Dana's phone and makes some spooky noises.
Oh, the Motorola Razr. Let's go.
So the other girls run outside to see where Dana is.
The original
they
one.
See that Eve's car is still there, and when Heather opens the door, Eve's head falls out.
Does it have eyes?
The character serves virtually no purpose in this movie aside from being a red herring. They run back inside to the perceived safety of the sorority living room.
Why do you think it's safe? Why do you think it's safe?
They say the snowstorm has really effed up those roads, so it would take them like 2 hours to get there.
What?
Hey, where are their taxes going exactly, police department? Ms. Mack decides that Billy is
that actual thing that happens?
And tells everyone to get their stuff because it's time to peace out.
Don't get your stuff. Get out now.
Claire and Kelly says it's safer to stick together inside the house. The lines are drawn and neither side wants to give, so Ms. Mack and Heather decide to head out, saying they'll send help ASAP. Man, I hate what this choice does to Ms. Mack's character. The two of them get into the car all right,
and then
he's
in the car.
Snow brush is. Ms. Mack paddywhack throws the girl a bone and gets out to de-winterize the windshield herself. The car starts a rockin' and a yellow eye peeks through a gap in the snow. Then all of a sudden, a big blood blast signifies Heather's been killed. Kind of weird seeing Mary Elizabeth Winstead in such a sideline role when nowadays she'd almost definitely be the final girl of this film. Ms. Mack is shocked enough to stumble backwards and knock an icicle off the garage that falls and kills her. Wait, what? Accidental deaths like this aren't unprecedented in slasher flicks, but it still feels like a kill that isn't quite earned, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like it happens, but it's gonna make the investigators wonder as to
a plastic bag over her head from our long-haired killer. She's able to get out of that one and tries to escape out a window instead of going downstairs. Okay. But the killer follows her into the room and, after eyeing a pair of ice skates within reach, picks them up and chucks them at the back of Mel's head, freaking scalping her for a pretty solid kill. We're just run through these victims like hot butter at this point, kids. Might as well move on to the next one then, which is obviously going to be the passed out Lauren. Before she meets her fate though, things get real uncomfortable for everyone, with a molestation scene that goes on for way too long. Lauren wakes up as gross.
Bro, I'm gonna have to remove that one as well. Hey Kyle.
The glass unicorn to use as a weapon, but she misses and instead she gets choked against the bed and stabbed in the head just once with the glass unicorn. Her kill serving as one final weak shadow of Margot Kidder's barb. Kelly and Lee are in Lauren's room when Kyle busts in, and he and Lee get into a fight. When Lee is thrown against the bed, it reveals Lauren's eyeless body to everyone. Eyeballs, more eyeballs.
Where does
Kelly
I guess he eats
Kyle's
them?
Innocence by pointing out that when she calls Claire's cell phone, its ringtone answers from the ceiling? I seriously don't understand what we're looking at here or how we're seeing the phone's light. So if anyone wants to explain it to me, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't read the comments on Xbox.
Bet you can't guess what Billy says. And by the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, both Billy and Agnes are the killers in this one. Billy having come from the institute he broke out of, and Agnes having been in the attic the whole time. Kyle wants
what do you mean the whole time? For how long?
He still refuses to give up on Claire, so they decide to go into the attic to see what they can do on that whole missing sister front. Kyle volunteers to go up first, and his chivalry gets him bagged and dragged into the attic. He tries to crawl away from Agnes, but she just walks up and stabs him in the head. Damn, did this movie do the suspicious boyfriend thing so much worse than the original. Kelly and Lee attack Agnes, since they're now also in the attic, and in the exact same move they did with Lauren's body a few minutes earlier, Lee looks up to find that her sister is a confirmed fatality. Then the girls watch as Agnes rips out Kyle's eyes. He's my family now. And follows up with the Lynch tradition, chomping down on that eyeball. Lee falls through the floor because addicts are not meant to be party.
They are not.
As Kelly tries to help her up,
this is a semi.
Just pick a direction, lady. Agnes gets real festive and starts lighting candles that show off her decoration skills. Oh, the eyes are ornaments. That's what.
And snacks.
Wait a minute. Then what was with that little snack you had a minute ago?
I guess candy canes are ornaments and snacks.
She's falling through the floor, and when Agnes bags Kelly and tries to stab her to death, she instead only succeeds in starting a fire in the attic. Kelly defends herself by grabbing a long tong and stabbing Agnes in the eye with it because it's the only goddamn trick this movie has. Starting to become desensitized to it. Then Agnes, who kind of looks and sounds like a Fred Armisen character, tells Kelly the good news.
That's what.
My daddy's here. Well, that's gross to hear, but she ain't lying. Billy's here. He climbs up into the attic as Agnes wraps some Christmas lights around Kelly. There's a big cluster cuss that ends with Kelly and Agnes both sliding down the space behind the wall, dragging those Christmas lights too that are tangled up in a whole bunch.
The entire place
crawl
is gonna go
spaces
up in
and
flames.
eyeballs, folks. That's what this movie is. Agnes falls all the way down.
A lot of crawl
Billy
spaces. I guess old houses had a lot of them.
Lee is able to bust a hole through the wall with a dumbbell and pull Kelly safely into the laundry room. The now flaming tangle finally falls down the wall, leaving the lenses in a literal hellhole that the girls fuel further with some paint thinner. They lock the door of the laundry room behind them and escape through the front door of the house.
And the door opened this time.
Wait, it's not?
It's
How
not
many more
now.
eyeballs we gotta squish here, people? At the hospital, a morgue assistant is pissy that he's working on Christmas. He should probably be pissy that the bodies in his charge aren't actually dead, as Billy proves when he pops up out of his bag. He grabs a bone saw.
Wait, why
and
was
the morgue
he?
Dude is all like, no, please don't. Billy kills him with it off screen. Just a classic little slasher bonus.
Dude, why do you have?
The hospital is full of more stupid spatial logic holes. First, Lee and Kelly are together in Kelly's room. A nurse comes in and takes Kelly to get more x-rays, so Lee is left in the room alone, but then she goes out into the hallway.
Would they make her walk to get more x-rays?
Where Agnes is sleeping in the bed, pretending to be Kelly. It's dumb and unlikely, and is just there to kill Lee, whose death is short and not so sweet, with Agnes whispering forever to her, then snapping her neck. Yep, that's it. Just the neck snap. We cut to Kelly getting back into her bed, which again,
be like, oh, that's oddly warm.
About where the bodies should be and shit. And now the door of the hospital room is faulty all of a sudden.
They were supposed to have someone fix
Someone's under it?
Hey, just like in the original.
Yeah.
Kelly senses that danger is near. The blood pooling in the light fixtures usually
in the light fixture? How does that happen?
Defibrillators in preparation. When Agnes
Why is that the first thing you
Kelly's able to clear her way to the end of this movie by putting those shock paddles right on Agnes's face. We've seen
Billy's
like
still alive.
Kill count before, and I've got to say, this is the weakest execution of it. I want boiling skin, son. Now Billy drops from the ceiling, but Kelly busts out the door window and escapes into the hallway. Billy gives chase, only to get blindsided by a crutch to the face. Point to Kelly. But then Billy uses the crutch to trip Kelly to the ground.
Oh, wow, that was very
Billy takes the
convenient.
Scalpel to the back. But Kelly is the ultimate victor when she tosses Billy down a few stories to get impaled through the top of a Christmas tree.
Okay, what Christmas tree is that sturdy?
Effective use of blinking lights, we see his body shadow on the ceiling over Kelly as she looks down at the dead-ass lens boy below. And with that, the movie is finally over. Oh,
is it?
Fuck, I'm supposed to have something funny for like the walkaway.
Yeah. What, James?
Hey, look, I'm Billy Lenz. Does that work? Cool. Let's get to the numbers.
This is with the color.
18 people died in the Black Christmas remake, which is 11 more than in the original. Not bad.
Come on, James.
Victims included 7 men and 11 women.
It's stuff like that makes me love James.
Just like the original. At a runtime of 92 minutes, that comes out to a kill on
stuff
average
like that
every 5 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Melissa. It's super quick, but I think it's pretty creative. Having some ice skates take a little too much off the top. All machete for lamest kill will go to Lee, whose unlikely neck snap was super weak sauce. And that's it. The Black Christmas remake came out in 2006, and it feels like most people forgot about it pretty quickly. Oh well. Next week is the
9,
last
so I didn't
kill
know
count
it
of the year
existed.
with New Year's Evil. And
New Year's
then,
Evil. Never heard of it.
This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching my kill count for the Black Christmas remake. I want to thank some of my patrons like Austin Storr,
there's also
Dylan
Krampus,
Connors, and Julia Faye.
which is a
hey, what if there was another kill count
count
between this one and New Year's Evil? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be cool? Especially if it was like Christmas themed. Especially if it was like a movie that everyone's always requesting. Especially if it was a movie made by the same guy who did Trick or Treat. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, really?
Tomorrow, motherfuckers.
Tomorrow? Is that a threat? So that's going to be Krampus, which came out 1 day later. That was a very, very busy week for James. And then New Year's Evil, but next week's going to be Krampus. What are the Thing prequel? Am I allowed to watch that one? I had to skip the original kill count for the Thing because apparently the movie's too good for me to watch a kill count of, even though it's kind of my whole thing. And most of these movies I've never even heard of, and definitely have never seen because I've never even heard of them. But this was Black Christmas. I look forward to reading your comments. Patrons get all the videos a day early. Could not do this if it was not for them. I hope I was able to make your day tiny a little bit better. For some reason, these videos don't have that many views. Maybe because people just love to watch a reaction or review to like the really rough, like cult following cheap movies. I'm not sure. Krampus is apparently a really popular Christmas movie. I've heard the name Krampus before, but I think it's actually a part of a story. I didn't think it's actually a movie, but I knew it was a movie. But I don't know why it's called a capture count. It'll be next week. I look forward to watching it, and I look forward to showing it and watching it with you. Thank you so much for watching. But until next video, take care and cue the music.
We were playing